There you go.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
You want a little introduction?
Yes, please. I know you're interested in, you told me you're interested in tree diseases. So if you'd like to.
Yeah, I've been in the town since '99. Been busy raising my family until fairly recently, and so have some time to pitch in and help the town out. And I have a background in biology, a PhD in plant physiology, and I do like trees. Um, and so it seemed like a nice place to step in and lend a hand.
Well, thank you. We're happy to have you join us. Okay, so the first order of business will be the Ferry Road sidewalk replacement. I'm going to start by saying that we had the January meeting is the first time that we had the information from the landscape architect that Wade sent to us. So we reviewed that at the Ferry Road at the January meeting, but in fact, back at the October meeting, which was our first meeting with him, I had asked if we could have some options to taking down the trees, if he would investigate that and give us that information. Well, on our walk on February 8th, he brought that information. So now we have everything, all we need, and we're ready to go. So it wasn't something that we had on our agenda for several months and we didn't talk about it or didn't include the neighbors. It was the fact that we needed the information first. So now we're ready to go. And with that, I'm going to look at, if you Wade, your first information that you provided at the walk on February 8th was very informative. I went through all of it. I went on many of the websites, and it was very, very informative. So where we are right now is, you all know that we will be the town has a project that we've become involved with because of the street trees. The sidewalk currently is 3 feet wide. It's buckled in some places where the tree roots are impacting it. We know that the proposal is to expand it to 4 feet. And we know that Public Works would like 4 feet because of machinery that they use to clear the snow. I believe it's riding machinery. Is that correct, Tim?
Yeah, it's a big brush with a cab.
Yes, so that they would like 4 feet as well. We know that there's been a steep grant that was approved, and I guess the next item that we need to talk about is the number of trees that will be removed. At least 10 of them. There are 13 trees in the project, and they're proposing to remove at least 10 trees. So that being said, Wade, I did some investigation, as I told you, after we met on February 8th. And I learned that although the steep grant, I suppose it requires 4 feet, and the ADA requirement is 3 feet with minimum. Wider width is desirable for the walks, but 3 feet is the minimum requirement.
36 inch clear, just so we're straight on that, you know, a clear width. So yeah, 36, but most, well, the town standard's 5, and most, I think the steep grant, Tim asked me to investigate that. I think the minimum they would accept would be 4. So, for funding purposes.
Is that a fact?
Yes.
That's a fact.
I
That
mean,
it is 3 feet.
ADA has a 30, well, surprisingly, ADA doesn't have a minimum sidewalk width. You would think they would have it in their documentation and their regulations, but they don't. They just refer to a 36-inch clear width in the regulations. So it's
Minimum.
more set up, looking at wheelchair bound
Right.
pedestrians, I believe. So the 36-inch minimum clear, while it can be construed as a 36-inch sidewalk, if you're on a wheelchair, 36 inches probably is not going to feel too comfortable because you're not going to be going arrow straight the whole time. So,
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how wide wheelchairs are, but they got to be probably 2.5 foot minimum, I would suspect. So, a 3 foot sidewalk would only give you like 3 inches outside of the width to maneuver, which is difficult. And then
What I found is that 3 feet is the minimum. For wider is desirable, but 3 feet is acceptable if is a place every 200 feet for people to be passed side by side. So
Yes.
is that correct?
Yes, you have to have 5x5 turnoffs, I think, every 200 feet.
Okay. Okay.
Just so you know, wheelchair widths are 26 inches.
26 inches. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So that gives you 5 inches on either side of the tire, outside of the tire,
Okay. So that covering that, I guess the first step that that detected that was possibly moving the sidewalk on the south side to avoid damage, because when we walked there were considerable the large old shade trees, the roots really impact the walk. So we talked about possibly, or it was presented to us that possibly we could move the sidewalk on the south side. Tim, do you want to speak to that, and Wade as well? Please?
Yes, well, we put up the surveying sticks and mentioned that where the houses are, the actual right of way goes 3 feet behind those sticks. But noteworthy, there are fences and sort of permanent improvements that would be difficult to make people remove those things. As you look down the way, I think even with where those sticks are inside of the right of way near the church and the buildings, I think the only real impediment is a hedge in front of the long White House perpendicular to the street. It looks like a privet hedge that clearly would be in the way. And other than that, there is one weeping willow down near Lyme Regis, which has a sort of a big cancerous growth on it that may not be in the best shape. But other than that, the south side, I guess where Dave Kelsey used to live, there is a fairly, I don't know, there's a normal tree there as well that would probably be in the way. But nothing like the other side where you have 10 old trees that would undoubtedly catch people's attention were they to be removed. So there are foam poles, but I think the width of the right of way, particularly when you get past that white perpendicular building, it's pretty open. And if we were to relocate it on that side, it might spare us a lot of aggravation.
That was a very good summary. I mean, I don't really have a lot to add to that. Once you get to 12 Ferry Road, it really opens up wide, and the existing sidewalk, I mean, it does lend itself, it's far nicer. And I guess you would just demo the north sidewalk and grass that. Is that probably what the game plan would be?
Pull the panels, yeah.
Pull the panels and just put topsoil in and get turf established on it.
Yeah, there may be some who would not like the idea of abandoning that sidewalk because they're used to walking a circuit over it. But I guess if you pointed out the two alternatives and saving all those trees, it might be overwhelming. That one house with the privet hedge, they might not be so happy, but that's the only major thing I think is in the way.
I think there was one fence too that
Mhm.
may be encroaching on it too. A vinyl, I think it's like a vinyl fence, as I recall.
But do you think we could put the walk right abreast of that and
Yep,
still?
I think so. Yeah, and I think we still get the width we need. I think so. I mean, it looks like a very feasible alternative, and I think I'm not sure where we would cross back to the north side of the road. We were talking about maybe Lieutenant Lane, but you might be able to get a little further west of there and avoid the trees, you know, if you went, say, 100 feet west of Lieutenant
Yeah.
Lane.
Yeah, Joanne, though, Emily was talking about that. Yeah, there's those, it starts with a V, those three trees.
Zelkova,
Zelkova. C starts with a Z, Zelkova.
Zelkova, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, if you went a little further, you might be able to spare those trees as well, if that was critical according to the tree warden and the commission.
Okay, the tree warden is on, so is on the phone. So Tom, would you like to weigh in, please, with your comment?
Sure. In terms of those Zelkovia, I did notice one of them was in pretty rough shape, but two of them were in very nice shape. So, that would be a positive thing. So the two of those trees were in nice shape and would be ashamed to cut them.
So the one
So that would be
number 7, tree number 7, is that the overbalanced one that you thought? Is that the first one or the most?
I didn't take
Stilly
notes,
one?
Wade. I just remember. I think it was the first one we got to. I think.
Yep, that would have been the first one, correct. Yes,
One I
that would be
noticed
it.
was in really rough shape and would be, I don't think, a terrible loss, but the other two were very nice. And, it'd be a shame to lose them.
It's number 8. I think it's number 8. The tree's in poor health and in danger of falling into the street. Is that?
7 was overbalanced.
Oh, yes. Okay. I see number 7. Okay.
I think, it had a very tilted canopy and it was.
Yes.
We
Okay.
also had a lot of dieback in the upper crown, a lot of dead branches up top, and it was just not indicative of something that's healthy. So between all those factors, it wasn't. Now again, does it need to be removed right away? Maybe not, but it wouldn't be a loss if it had to go. But the other two would be. They were good looking trees. Added a lot of value.
Well, okay. So
I have a question. On the
Sure.
south side of Ferry Road, I believe there's a monument, a historic monument in the ground that recently the Historical Society had asked to be. It's a fairly flat monument does anyone know about this?
Is that the brownstone slab? It looks like
Yes.
it's a brownstone slab.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was. Okay.
That I'm pretty sure that needs to, be considered. I don't know how you want to do it, but it can't go away or it can't.
Is that in the path of the sidewalk
I
proposed?
think it might be because I'm
Oh,
just
I
not
finally
sure.
got
Allison
through.
knew about this. The Historical
Oh, is that
Society
Ann?
was,
Yeah, I couldn't
fixing
get
that.
through.
I mean, there might be a way of, raising it up and making it part of the sidewalk and making it better. I just wanted to call attention to it. I don't know. I don't even remember who it's in memory
Does
of.
it have writing on it and so forth?
Yeah, I
lettering?
think it does. Yep. I can
I
find
mean,
out more.
we can accommodate that. My recollection in looking at it is that we'd be able to get it through that area, but I'd look at it more closely.
Sorry to interrupt.
so we're talking the north side of Ferry Road. If this plan is indeed a good one and we decide to select it, the north side of Ferry Road, as you mentioned, would be grass. Beyond Lieutenant River Lane, going toward 156, where those 3 Zelkova trees are, would that be grass as well? Is that what you're saying?
We could look at perhaps
Or we're just
keeping
leaving
it.
it?
Yeah, well, we could look at perhaps, taking the walk beyond Lieutenant Lane, then bring it across. I'd have to look at that more closely, but I think we can save at least two of them, or all of them, actually.
Well,
And with the wider 4-foot sidewalk is what you're saying?
Well, if we go to the south and keep it southwest of Lieutenant Lane, then cross to the north side.
Joanne, if you might want to, if you bypass because of those trees and cross further west, you might leave the sidewalk in place where those 3 trees are, so that people walking from Route 156 and wanting to go left on Lieutenant River Lane wouldn't have to do a strange U pattern. They could
Yes,
continue up and make a left.
yes. So that sidewalk though is 3 feet? Is that correct, or 4 feet?
Correct. The existing is 3 feet wide.
Okay, so you're proposing leaving the 3-foot sidewalk there, Tim?
Well, just to make it easier for people coming from Route 156 to make a left onto Lieutenant River Lane if they're walking in that way.
Okay. So from Lieutenant River Lane to the end of the paved area, let's say, the sidewalk would be 3 feet, including in front of the house beyond that. That is the house that has the two cherry trees.
Oh, that newer one.
Yeah, where the cherry trees are, leaving the sidewalk at 3 feet there.
Well, I mean, if you cross back over, you could resume the 4-foot sidewalk going down in front of that one, and then the one with those low what are those trees, low trees, and then the Sedgwick house.
Right. Yeah, okay. All right, well, I think that would certainly, I think, work very well. Because I know, I've heard from the gentleman who lives on Ferry Road. I mean, he would lose 4 trees if we cut them down in front of his house that's number 7. So, that's a lot. And I was just very much opposed to cutting all of them down, because I feel that those trees are not just trees for the neighbors on Ferry Road, they're community trees. Everyone benefits by having those old shade trees. I do believe Tom said when we went out on the walk, they're stressed. A lot of them are stressed, but I feel probably 70, 80, maybe even 90% of the street trees in Old Lyme are stressed because of successive years of drought. Drought has taken a huge toll on our trees. So I think that we can certainly trim them and maybe follow the recommendations of the landscape architect and remove some of the leaders that are heavy over the road and over the sidewalk. And maybe this is a plan that we can go with. I sincerely hope so, rather than, because the alternatives, I had a whole set of alternatives ready to talk about here today. From the information that you gave me, Wade, that I thought may work. And I wanted to see talk about the cost of taking down an old shade tree, replanting a new tree, versus some of these alternatives to save the old trees. So that's how I feel, save some of those trees. So any of the members like to weigh in, please, on this? Would you like to talk, please? Give us your comments.
I have a question. With the sidewalk on the north side, will that connect with the existing sidewalk on the north side down towards the church? Does it go all the way?
It would cross where the existing sidewalk is on the north. I mean, we would probably cross right about there where the project was initially slated to begin,
Oh, I see.
and cross over to the Old Lyme Congregational Church on the south side, continue on the south side, pull up all of the existing sidewalks between the new terminus of construction to Lieutenant Lane, and put topsoil and reseed it and get grass growing on it, and then have the sidewalk on the south side of Ferry Road to perhaps as much as maybe 100 feet west of Lieutenant Lane. Then it would have a crosswalk to the existing north side and reconstruct the north sidewalk to the existing Connecticut 156 sidewalk. It's probably the way we would look at it. And that north side sidewalk would be widened from 3 to 4 feet from that point to the 156, where they ended that.
So I know that, I've heard or I've read where there are some community members who have thought about, wouldn't it be nice if we had a circle around through the historic district up to Ferry Road to 156 and then along 56 back through the shopping center, a circle to walk. So other than needing to cross to the other side of the street, if you're coming from the historic district, you'd cross to the other side of the street, walk on the south side of the street, and then you could cross over again and go on to 156, correct? As far as that? Okay. So that would
Wade, just to clarify, Wade, would you be saying that if you wanted to get from the north side of Ferry Road to the south side, you could do it at the intersection with Lime Street? Or are you talking about a second one where the current Lime Street, if you will, sidewalk on Ferry Road ends? There'd be a second crossing there, or just one crossing at the intersection?
You could do one at the intersection or do another one there. I mean, if you want to eliminate the crossing, maybe just leave that existing crossing at Lime Street.
Yeah, I think the parking is such a problem when the church has big events that if you took up a couple of spaces with a crosswalk that's only, 150 feet away from the other one,
Yep.
It might be, we could talk to the church about that, but.
Yeah. And then you could just end it where that existing sidewalk was constructed with a granite curb then at that driveway, and then end it there, and then just remove the rest of that 3-foot wide sidewalk to 100 feet west of Lieutenant Lane. Then is what we'd look at. I would assume you want to keep that portion on the north side of Ferry from the intersection with Lime that's new, and then at that driveway, then tear up all of the old sidewalk.
I think so.
That makes sense to everyone?
That makes sense. Yes, I think so. Okay, so now I guess we need to talk about the weeping cherry trees that are there. When you put the stakes in, Wade, what did you think about bringing the sidewalk past or around them, or is there room to do that?
I would probably have the sidewalk as far south on the right of way that you can, so it'd be right up against the hedge to get as much separation as you could. That's what I would recommend.
Okay, so up against the hedge, so would that impact the tree roots of the two cherry trees?
I would say yes. I mean, there's no way around
I
it.
think so.
Yes, it would.
Yep.
Yes, it
Okay,
would.
I used to take care of those trees, and that would definitely.
okay, thank you. All right.
Yeah, I don't
so-
think there's any way that you can around it except make it as far as, or you make the sidewalk in the middle of the right of way strip and then just have a little bend around each tree. You could do that too. So,
Okay,
you know,
similar to what we did at the old Lime daycare, that.
Yeah.
Around, okay, all right, well,
and I think those weeping cherries, I don't think they're going to be likely to heave the sidewalk either. You know, I think I don't think they're going to have as developed, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, as developed a root system as, you know, with diameter large roots like the Norway maples and the Zelkovas would, I wouldn't think. You agree, Tom?
I would agree. I would agree. Yep.
yes, in
I
fact.
mean, I don't know how close you want to get, but I would agree that, you know, you give them, you know, they're not going to do the same thing.
But we would remove ourselves as much as we could from them,
Mm-hmm.
shift it as far south as we could within the right of way.
Okay, okay.
Now,
I think they were mentioned in the information that you gave me. They're included in that information was a list of trees to plant that are less to heave, for the roots to heave. So, and weeping cherry and cherry trees were in that list,
Yes.
less likely. So,
Norway maples were on the list of the ones that move sidewalks the most.
yes, yes.
Wade, would we have to go back to Steep to present the alternate plan from one side of the street to the other?
I can check with that. I'll make them aware of the, we went through the historic commission and the historic district commission and the tree commission, and they requested that we move it. I don't view that as being an issue. No. I imagine that they wouldn't have any comment on that. I mean, we're essentially providing the same functional value, but I will confirm that with state
And
authorities.
we would still do the same drainage improvements?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, does anyone have any questions about this proposal?
For a follow-up, Wade, would the drainage improvement digging impact any trees that we're trying to spare here?
I don't believe so. I'll look at it and confirm that, but I don't believe so.
Okay, now.
There'd be a big old tree root in the pipe.
Yeah.
So, Tim, would this, we need to do do you suggest we do a community walk? This is a town project with the neighbors. Do you think we should do that? I'm asking you.
I think if you did an abutter meeting first,
Okay,
and then maybe we could even, and that would be both sides of the street, because, if we go across the street, there may be some new people who will become interested.
I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, and then I don't know if we'd need a public hearing. I mean, it'll be a lot less invasive on the trees, so, but possibly so.
yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we have that proposal on the table, so that's two. So I guess we'll talk about scheduling, or we're going to have to do walks, I think, because won't we be limited with COVID restrictions regarding having a meeting in town hall?
I think on site's the best.
Yes, okay. So, and are we limited with the number that we, a group that can gather outside? Are we limited with that number?
No.
We're not.
I think as long as we stay separated.
Okay.
I just heard that today. Didn't I just hear today? Their governor went to 100 gatherings of 100 or less.
Inside.
Oh, is that inside?
Yeah, in a proper facility,
Okay.
Banquet facility or something like that, probably.
So Tom, what do you think about a site walk?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, so how do we, so we will contact the neighbors, send letters to that, what you suggest, Tim?
What?
Probably.
Why? Let me ask a
Go.
question. Is the tree, why the tree commission spearheading letters on a sidewalk, or is that something that should come
No,
out of the?
that's the town. It's the
town?
town.
So we're more concerned about the trees, and we'll speak to the trees, and I think we can do that. Because I think the only two trees we're talking about here now are the two cherries and the potential impacts to their root system that we can speak to and apply some best management practices to how the construction may take place around them.
Yes.
Right? But I don't think that we're not really the sidewalk. We're not the
No, we're
leading
not,
the charge of
we're
the
not
sidewalk.
managing the walk. The town, it's a town
Okay.
project, so it would be the town. But we would be along certainly for it to answer any questions.
But Tom, we probably, there may be landowners on the north side who would not like the loss of the sidewalk. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
it would be helpful to have an authority talking about why we are abandoning the north side because of the tree destruction.
No, absolutely. I think that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, that makes sense because I'm sure people are going to ask. There's folks on that side are not going to want it, or maybe they will. Who knows? But yeah, that's fine.
So we need to hear everyone's ideas and comments before I guess before we select a plan. Is that it? To be sure that everybody's been notified and we've heard comments from them. Is that right?
Sounds right.
Okay, so I guess in the next few weeks, maybe. And when do you think, I know we're on a timeline with the grant the grant, Tim?
Well,
Wade?
it's the timing of construction. The grant's all set, but Wade, when do you think we should be ready to put this thing out to bid?
Well, assuming everything goes smoothly, we get through the public information process and everything, I'm thinking, I mean, it would probably be best if you did it July and August when there's not a lot of, I don't know, that's kind of like the busy time for the town for like, the beach community, with residents coming in. So I don't know if that's a good time, or it could happen later in the fall if you wanted. I mean, the steep, typically you have 2 years to do the construction. So, I mean, we're not hard and fast. We can do it as we go along, but I would think we'd want to be done with construction by November at the very latest. Maybe we do it
How long would you project the construction would take?
if you get the right contractor in there. I would think you could be in and out of there in a month's time.
Might be good to go to the fall just to avoid, I mean, it won't be a white elephant sale this year and that sort of thing. So, but there are more people here before Labor Day than after.
Right. But we could make it start right after Labor Day, and then that way it's done when the weather's, good for concrete. You get into November, December, things start, temperature effects and that sort of thing. So, at the very latest, you'd probably want to commence construction on or about Labor Day to mid-September. And, we'd probably give them 45 days. So that would put you to November 1st for completion.
Okay, well, that would give us ample time to have the meet and greet stuff.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, okay, good. And we can do it probably hopefully in fair weather rather than what we encountered on February 8th. It was so cold. Okay, well, we had a good discussion, I think, and positive. So feeling much better about all of this.
All right. Well, good.
Joanne, do you think it's too early for a consensus motion or vote by the?
I would like to wait till next month.
Okay,
That's okay. I'd like to wait until next month when we've all had an opportunity to think about it, maybe, and then next month's meeting, we'll review it and we'll go from there. So we know, members, you're all on. We have 2 proposals. So the second one is the moving the sidewalk to the south side. We will be meeting and greeting members of the abutters and for their comments, set up a walk with them, or the town will set up a walk with them, and we'll go from there. So we'll talk again in March about it. Review
so
everything.
we really can't do any meeting planning or scheduling until after your meeting, I guess, just so there's a.
Right. Well, now that I was thinking that we were under a deadline for April, but I think probably the end of March, April, we could probably, unless you want to do it sooner, Tim, it's up to you. It's the town project. If you want to do it sooner.
Wade and Tim, when would we have to go out to bid if the goal is to start after Labor Day?
Probably by the time you go through everything, and I got to check on if the DOT's got to check stuff, but I'm guessing you'd probably want to go like early June to mid-June.
Yeah, so we just have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, because usually, you know, it takes, I don't know, it always seems like the insurance certificate is always the holdup on these projects. It always takes forever for them to comply with the requirements. And, you know, it seems like it's always like a month before you get the bid opening to the, you know, tell them the notice of award.
Okay.
So that would, you know, I would say mid-June at the latest, put it out to bid.
Okay. Okay. All right. Everything sounds good and
All right.
positive. So we meet, when do we meet? At the third, that's March
18th.
18th, March 18th. So we will talk about it then, review it, and then, whoops. Can you hear me?
Yep.
We will make a decision or talk about the two alternatives, and we'll go from there. I would like to, if we could maybe talk about meeting with the neighbors the first week of April sometime, or the end of March, if you'd like it sooner. That, I think that would be perfect. But that's, again, Tim, it's up to, it's a town project, so.
Yeah. Well, what we can do is we can pull from the GIS system, we can pull all the resident names on both sides of the street. Of course, Lyme Regis has quite a few, but and then we can try to quantify that and see how we break it down into manageable groups, maybe. So we can work on that during March to get that structured.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good.
Under your new business, you did talk about a letter. Is that something we should know about before we abandon this conversation?
Is Tom still on? Oh, that's me. What happened?
Feedback. Too many people are not muted.
Joan, you're on here twice.
It usually means there's someone on the telephone and the computer at the same time.
Right.
What's that?
There, I think I took care of it.
Okay. Tom, do you want to talk about that? The letter that you received?
You mean the email that came?
Yes. Please.
Well, they shared their concern. I think it was number 7. They shared their concern about the loss of the trees. You know, and I think I copied a few people on my response to that. Joanne, Michelle, I think you were copied on that too. So, you know, again, this is we're kind of reacting to how the town is proceeding with this, and you know, I didn't have anything to give. I think from the article, people got the impression that the town was moving forward with the removal of these trees, and so that was the biggest thing, to clarify that, you know, no trees have been targeted for removal at this point. It's merely a discussion, and so she responded back to me and said thank you. So we'll keep them in the loop.
Yes. Good. Okay. All right. I think we're ready to move on to the other items on the agenda. Thank you all for participating.
Much, and stay healthy.
Thanks, Wade.
Likewise.
Yes. Thank you.
One question, Tim, do you want me to take the stakes out tomorrow when I go on the way home, or do you want to do it? He's muted. You're
He's
muted,
muted. Oops.
You're muted, Tim.
I'll pull them out for you.
Okay. All right. That's fine. All right. Good. Thank you all very much. I appreciate your
you.
time.
Thank
Stay
you.
healthy. Bye now.
Thank you. You too.
Yep. Bye.
So Tim, will you leave them in for a while in the morning so we can all see them? I did not go by today. I don't know if anyone else did. Did any of the other members see the stakes?
No chance.
No.
Pardon?
Didn't have a chance.
Okay, good. Okay. So can you leave them in maybe till what, noon, 1 o'clock, noontime, 1 o'clock?
We'll go, I get them Friday afternoon later on.
Okay, good. Thank you. Very good. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye, Tim. Thanks. Okay, so now we will move on. Edie has been patiently waiting for us. Sill Lane and Lime Street North, green landscape design proposal. So Edie, the last we spoke, let me grab my information. The last we spoke, you were, you attended our meeting in November and you had sent us documents with a plan to landscape the North Green. So we left that meeting, and at the end of that meeting, you agreed to talk with some of the neighbors about helping and checking about a water source, since there isn't one on site, how you would get water to the site. And let's see, the maintenance. So, oh, you're muted.
I'm going to let you know what I found out.
Yes.
Okay, so the obvious place was to see if the folks at Peck Tavern, the new owners there, could help out. And I think them having just moved there, they're not really comfortable with thinking that they can provide water for that area. I did actually call up SEMA, the well company, to find out what it would cost to even put a well there, which,
Oh my gosh, okay.
I was just curious, I wanted to know, what would it take? And in the end, it's not just a well, you'd need a pump, but you need power. So that kind of dropped that whole question too. So at this point, I'm willing to step back and let happen whatever needs to happen. I just thought, maybe down the road we could get together a serious group of people who would actually maintain something. Right now, I don't have the bandwidth to be working on this, so I have kind of, stepped back. I did not ever plant any tulip bulbs, which are sitting in my basement. But,
Okay.
so, from what I understand, you're going to plant a tupelo and keep that watered. I'm happy to do some daffodils if we come up with that. And I guess there's also this, the new stones that are, what are those things called? Trying to find my notes here. Do you guys know the Witness Stone program? Do you know about that?
No, but
So
you're talking about for a walkway?
No, these are some things folks are thinking of doing in honoring of, the sort of Black Lives Matter stuff in Old
Oh,
Lyme.
yes,
And the
yes,
Witness
yes. I
Stone.
read about that. Yes, I'm
I
familiar.
believe they're thinking of putting 2 in that park. So that's another possibility to give some attention to that. I'm not sure where they would like to do that, but it's still in its early stages. So, I think some kind of attention to that triangle would be really great. Maybe it's something that happens slowly over time. Certainly no one wants to do anything to obscure, the car visibility of oncoming traffic. All of that would be considered if anything was done. So, I think maybe down the road when I have more time and other people are ready to get involved, it might be worth looking at. But right now, I think you guys are concerned about maintenance and, you have a plan for a tree. So let's go with that. I'll step
Yeah,
out.
we actually, we talked about it in November again. We talked about, not November, January, was it? And I think overall, and members, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm looking at my notes. You felt that planting the tupelo and possibly some we haven't ordered a tree, but possibly some nice flowering trees. And the tree warden suggested that too. Tom, you're on, I see. So he suggested maybe adding some flowering trees as well. But I was thinking also, and I think I mentioned this to you when you came, when you presented the first time, that, I know the garden club does the planter, and because of the size of the membership, they're not able to take on a project. But what I thought was possibly because of this pathway pollinators, you've heard about them, I think.
Yeah, yeah, that was another.
Suzanne Thompson was very eager, I should say enthusiastic when she heard that there could be a garden there, because that would just be another garden in the pathway pollinators, program here in Old Lyme. So this is just a suggestion that perhaps there could be a garden between the bench and the stone planter. Small at first, just maybe a circle or some type of a garden that would just have perennials and annuals in it, flowering perennials and annuals as a start. That would have plants. So that's a suggestion that for everyone to consider. That of course would be, I guess, maybe the garden club, maybe they would, I know they had said that they could, they may be able to lend some expertise to your plan, but maybe if it's small enough, they could also do that. The problem with that, I know, because I maintained that planter for probably 20 years, being a resident of Still Lane. It was so close, and I always drove my car right up next to the planter with big gallon buckets of water to water that. So once again, though, it's a problem with the water. So that's just an idea that you may talk about. You might want to talk about with them if you like.
I did talk with them to begin with, and they're pretty, their main interest is keeping that planter planted. I don't think they're looking to do any other gardening, again, because of the size of their membership. I mean, I really thought that if anything was going to happen in any major way, it would take sort of a new group of people from Still Lane that would be interested in doing something along the park. So, and that's an organizational situation. I mean, I was a member of the garden gang for the last 4 years, and it's certainly amazing how many people are willing to come out and help on things. So it takes a strong leader. So that's, you need someone that has the time to keep everybody rounded up and assisting. But one other thought I had about the watering situation is, I mean, we do have a town pumper truck for the fire department, and I'm just wondering, is there any way to finagle a watering program with the fire department that might help us out? I don't, I mean, we have a truck that takes a tank of water, so
that's true.
Like, why don't we take advantage of that? How many fires are they running off to that they would be inconvenienced by? I mean, it seems to me that there is a tank truck, and maybe it's worth a talk to Alice Jewett or someone along those lines and see what he would suggest. I don't know, maybe it's not possible. Maybe it would douse the thing instead of watering it. I don't know, but it does seem like a recurring problem all over Old Lyme, that every time you plant a tree, you've got the issue of how to keep it watered.
Oh, we have that problem. Yes.
Right,
trying to find contractors. I've been for years trying to find contractors to water for us.
Yeah.
After the trees are planted. So it's been a problem. That's for sure. So, well, okay. So we'll wait to hear from you. If you decide to move forward, let us know.
Yeah. I mean, I think the pollinator pathway, the nice thing about that is those are the kind of plants that are very hardy. You know, most of them are weeds. and,
That's
and
true.
they may just be something we could add right around the stone planter and call it a day to start with, and then see where we get. You know, so.
And also the members like the idea of daffodils as long as they're in beds, so the town crew does not mow them prematurely rather than in the lawn.
Yeah.
Kind of add them to beds if you wanted to. I guess with the flowers, it could be done. You could have, you know, you could have daffodils in the spring, and then annuals or perennials growing up to hide the foliage.
Sure. Yep.
So,
Yep.
okay.
That's good. All
All
right.
right. Well,
Well-
thank you, Edie. Good luck with your project that you're involved,
Okay. Sounds good.
very heavily involved with. So thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Joanne,
Yes, I'm
is,
here.
is someone going to broach that with the fire department?
I don't know. I was thinking when she was talking that I don't know if the fire department is volunteer. I believe they're
They
volunteer.
are volunteer.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Volunteer fire department. I
So,
would suggest not allocating anyone else's resources without consulting. I
yes,
think that'd be a tough one to make. I was only going to chime in if they said public works, and then I would chime in and say we're not going to do that.
yes. We've done
but,
that in the past. So anyway, yes, I think they're volunteer as well. And I personally, I don't think I would not approach them and ask them. We still need to find a contractor who waters. I know they must be out there. But the last two trees we planted, the hornbeam, which we're familiar with on Ferry Road, and then the maple tree that's just south of Town Hall, Bartlett planted them for us, and Bartlett watered them. So because they planted them, so that's what happened. But generally speaking, who we've used, the contractors we've used to plant, the landscape companies that we've used to plant, do not water. So that's where we need to really, I step up and just probably start calling every landscaper in the area to ask if they will do it. So, okay. Tom, do you have anything to add since you're on? I see still to any of the discussion.
No, I think I would just to save everyone some heartache and challenges. I think one thing I'd add is that the town is spearheading this sidewalk thing. Let's not. I got the feeling from that reaction from some neighbors is that they're coming after the tree commission. They're coming after me or the tree commission for this sidewalk project, where that's not really where they should be focusing their attention. So I want to. Town should be orchestrating that, and we're getting them to think of all the alternatives in order to treat the trees as well as we can.
Yes. Well, were you on in the beginning when I made my statement? I said something about that.
No, I didn't. I called it.
It was. I started the meeting with a statement about that, and that it is a town project, that we became involved because of the trees, but it is a town project. So, and that's why I said that the letters, whatever they decide to do as far as notifying the neighbors, I'm fine with being there, but it needs to come from Town Hall. So
very good.
Yeah.
That's what I would add there. Yep.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
I'm going to go down to other business quickly. Are you going to be on for the remainder of the meeting?
I am currently driving, and I will stay on as long as I'm on the road.
Okay, then we can get through quickly because we don't have much to discuss. I'll stay on the agenda as written. So we'll move down to the clerk's report. Move on. The approval of the January 2021 meeting minutes. Will somebody please make a motion to approve the minutes?
So motioned.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, the February 8th special meeting minutes do not need approval, correct, Martha?
That's correct.
Okay. So I don't,
I just have one small request.
sure.
My name spelled B-E-H.
Yes, I see that, Fred.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
I'll fix that.
Joan and Anne, I don't believe you were on yet when I introduced Ed, our new member. So
Fred,
he's
it's
here with
not
us.
Fred from Manswood Road, is it?
Pardon me?
It's not Fred from Manswood Road, is it?
No, I'm on Stonewood Drive.
Oh, okay, because another Fred just moved in, became one of my neighbors.
Oh, not too many Freds out there. So, yeah.
I was wondering.
Okay, so the next item is the budget report. Our balance as of February 4, 2021 is $12,292. Contracted services, no, I don't have that. I didn't write that. I think that's probably the same as last month anyway. I don't think anything has changed. I haven't approved any invoices. And the carryover balance is the same as last month. Contracted services, 1,305, and miscellaneous 1,500. And you remember, I'm sure, that we're using the 1,500 for tree planting in and I'm going to get busy on that and calling a nursery and calling the landscaper. So we're sure we can do it in early spring. I did call, we have the 1305 left in contracted services, and I've been trying to get in touch with Nicholas from Bartlett because he and I had talked about that back in the fall. So I'm waiting for a response from him. And then I was hoping we could do it next week because I saw on my phone that the weather forecast on Thursday and Friday is for very nice weather in the 40s. So hopefully we can meet. I can meet with him and we can talk about trimming all the trees around the back of town hall, around the parking lot. I wanted to wait until winter. Tim Griswold and I walked back, back in the summer, I guess. And I told him that I prefer to wait until winter when the trees were dormant. So hopefully we can get that done before April. Okay. Tom, the next item under other business, you were mentioning, you mentioned on the walk about, transplanting the hornbeam over to Lieutenant River. When I went back and looked at your email to me, what you wrote to the resident there, you said that possibly the tree commission would plant. Are we waiting for a call from the resident, or how is this? What's happening? How is this happening?
No, well, if it's something you're interested in, I probably can bridge that gap. I have their information, and I can. So I mean, I brought it up because they brought it up, and it looked like a good spot. We have one more tree to cut. You know, we cut that. There was a big maple that was cut there previously, and now we've got another big maple to cut there. So
it's okay.
I don't think they were reaching out to anyone, but let's get a hold of them, and I can pass that information along and connect them up with you, and you can open that dialogue on what they might want.
Do you know when the second tree will be, or the existing tree will be removed? Has Ed given you any idea?
Well, I've gotten pretty good at predicting Ed's process. So somewhere between now and 2022. I don't know. I have to push him a little bit. I marked a bunch of trees for removal, and I think Ed's forgotten about it. So I have to follow up. Or actually, I think, you know what he told me? I think he told me to call Jason and try to arrange it myself. I don't know. I have to follow up with Ed on that and see where things stand with those trees that I had previously marked.
Okay, because I'm thinking, I don't know that I want to plant. Do you think that the tree that was removed a year ago or so, whenever that was, are you thinking about planting in that area and do you think the roots have decayed enough so that we can put a new tree in, or no?
Well, it depends on where you want to plant it. I mean, that stump is a pretty dominant stump right there. I don't think you're putting anything within a couple feet of it, but
Okay.
Could you do something in the vicinity? You know, I would say a spot off the top of my head. I kind of got the feeling that would be a spot somewhere between the two trees, the one that was previously cut and the one we have to cut.
Now, as I recall, they're right on, they're like right adjacent to the road. Is that?
Yeah, yes.
Would it be, did you talk at all about moving them perhaps more into their yard? Maybe
They
5 feet into their yard?
Yeah,
Would
they'd
they
be a few feet more into the yard. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing anything right on the street like that.
Right.
And I think they had a little bit of a hedgerow there too. So I'd almost think of going a few feet in. You know, whether or not it's town or not town, I think, you know, I think we are supportive of going a few feet off town property, right? As long as the landowner is amenable to the proper care, right?
Exactly. Well, that's not, that's something that we had discussed at a tree commission meeting a few years ago, and I had also talked with you. This is what the city of Newport, Rhode Island is doing now. They're planting trees in yards, in private property, and they're not planting along the roads anymore because of drought, because of road salt, all the usual stuff. So they are now planting, and they enter into an agreement with the homeowner that the homeowner will care for the trees. They actually, I just had an email because I'm on their mailing list, and they actually offer bare root trees to homeowners free of charge, and they actually plant them. Or maybe there's a cost, but it's minimal. And they actually, the Newport Public Works Department plants them. So, and as long as they agree to take care of the tree, water it and fertilize it and whatever, the town basically gives them a tree. So, and it's been a highly successful program. They're sold out. They probably, I think they get over 100 trees that they offer, and they're sold, and they're reserved immediately. People are really excited about the program there. So it's been good, because in some places I've seen where the tree is planted maybe 10 feet off of the walk, but the shade is actually shading the sidewalk. So it's doing the same, they're doing the same thing as the street trees did, but with less opportunity for damage or being affected by road salt or whatever, machinery. So it's a very successful program, and something that I talked about with you, with the tree commission members a few years ago after I attended a program there. So That might be, I think, maybe now on Ferry Road, I'm sorry, Lieutenant River Lane, it would be a good place maybe to do that if, as long as the homeowner would agree to water. Are they there full time? Do you know?
I think they were there full time. Yeah, I think they are. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay, all right. So you'll get in touch with them. That's good. Okay, so, thanks, Tom. And I will wait to hear from you. I mentioned at the meeting last month, that there was a town launch of Pollinator Pathways, the launch, and gave you the information for, attending this. Did anyone, I attended it in, via Zoom in December. Did any of you, attend this? Or connect to it?
I didn't.
No one? Okay. I was wondering, I wanted to hear your comments about it. Okay, I explained all of that to you last month, so we'll just move on. And are there any comments from members or questions about anything that we've discussed today? I think we've had a very productive meeting, so.
I just have a quick question. I'm going to have to come up to speed with you folks.
Sure.
When you plant a tree, how long do you have to water it for? How long do you have to care for it? Is it a couple of years, or how does that work?
Yes. Yeah. It's, I'll use an example. I think it was, what is it, 4 years ago, we planted 4 trees we partnered with the Duck River Garden Club and the Lime Old Lime Junior Women's Club. And we planted 4 trees behind the refreshment concessions building at Townwoods Park. And the first year, they were planted in the spring, right in time for, oh gosh, what's the big, can't think of it, Earth Day. And that entire summer, the members of the Junior Women's Club, including Emily, who was here with us, and members of her club and the Duck River Garden Club, they watered all summer. So the trees did well, but the second year they were impacted by gypsy moth. And I did notice that when I went over to check them, that they looked wilted. So the group got together. I think it was maybe the garden club. Emily, or was your group in on that too, watering?
For the second year?
Yes.
I think they did the majority of the second year. I did most of the first year, and I think
Okay, so the 2 groups then watered the second year, and
yeah.
I think 2 years, considering the droughts that we've had, that 2 years is probably what should be done. We should have water 2 years.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It'll depend on the weather that particular year.
Yeah, well, I know I wrote in my town report, I'm going to say 8 or 9 years ago about drought. We were seeing the effects of drought on the trees back then. And since that time, maybe there's been 1 or 2 years that we've had rainfall, but generally speaking, like August, September, we've had droughts. And it's really had an effect on our trees. As I said, in the meeting today, when we were talking about the Ferry Road trees, drought has affected many of the street trees, and it's affected trees in my yard, the old trees. You don't think about watering all of your old trees, but they need water as well. So it's been a problem, and there's been a lot of trees taken down in our town over the past 15 years. Tom keeps a record of that, I guess. I don't know if you still do. You did, Tom. You always kept a record of it. So, and I'm sure Adanti has too, but we've had a lot of drought-related stress on our trees.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Tom, do you have a comment on that?
Drought absolutely is a stress, and our trees are generally are adaptive to that, and the weak and the strong usually survive, but we are certainly seeing more drought and more severe drought, and so our trees are under stresses that they probably have not always had to deal with. So certainly more impacts. As far as what I track, I track trees that I mark. I have my notebook. Some stuff that we've removed that I've tagged. I do track that. The second season of watering is certainly not the same as the first season, and I would say I would recommend, if we're gonna be paying for it, I don't think it's a bad idea, but I almost want to say that second season, second year of watering, be a little different than the first season. Not necessarily as critical to do it as often, and maybe can be more reactive to the drought. But it's really, because it doesn't get expensive to water for the second season. But not a bad idea to consider it, especially if we get that weather where that we get a whole summer, 2 months of no rain. The tree has only been there for a year and a half. It's gonna be stressed out a little more than a bigger tree would be.
Yeah. Especially, I think the maple trees the sugar maples have really been impacted by drought and by road salt. I think we've seen a big die off of sugar maples, correct, Tom?
Yeah. Sugar maples have really been suffering. Beautiful trees, but these big old sugar maples they're not doing that well around Connecticut. Partly age, of course, and where they are. They're in tough locations and they're heavily impacted.
We've been planting, Fred, red maples, which seem to be hardier. That's what I've read. So we tend to plant, and I'm not talking about Japanese maples. I'm talking about Acer rubrum, which is a red maple tree. I guess they call it swamp maple, but they seem to survive even in just soil that is drained. So
I tell you, look around Connecticut, and red maple is found everywhere. It's found growing on the tops of mountains. It's found growing in swamps. It's a very adaptive plant. Sugar maple is quite a bit more fickle. I will tell you that while you can grow sugar maple in lots of places, we are really kind of at the bottom of the natural habitat for sugar maple. So, if you want to consider drought and climate change, sugar maple is one of those species that's probably going to be suffering more than others in this neck of where we are. So I would probably seek to put other species in. And red maple, especially given the varieties of red maple that are out there, you can really add a lot of variety in one species. The multiple cultivars that are there.
Yes. Okay, any more questions? Any other questions? Well, thanks to all of you for joining today, and your comments. I think as I said before, we've had a good meeting. So we'll look forward to our March 18 meeting. And with that, if there are no further comments or questions, I would like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Joan, second.
Yes, I'm here. I heard it all.
Okay, good. Okay, everyone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have a good evening and stay well.
Yes, take care.
You too.
Bye now.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.